But the cabinet rejig slated over the weekend, so let's chat about what could be the repercussions, what is it that we could see by way of a reshuffle, and of course, what it means for the markets. Bibek Debroy, professor at Center for Policy Research, joins us on the show right now from New Delhi. Bibek, hi, morning. What changes are you expecting in the cabinet on Sunday, and will we see some inclusion of some high-profile names?
I think one is reading too much into it. It's a bit late in the day to have a cabinet reshuffle and expect that it's going to change things significantly. All that one hears speculation about is, one, whether Mr. Rahul Gandhi is going to be part of the cabinet, and the answer seems to be no. Secondly, will some of the younger lot be inducted into the cabinet? And the probability is yes, but then they should have been done a very, very long time ago.
So, as you said, reports are confusing whether or not Rahul Gandhi would join or no. But the question that a few people are asking is that isn't it important for the Congress to have Rahul in the cabinet if he's indeed projected as the PM candidate in the next elections?
Yes, absolutely. But the point I'm making is this should have been done much, much earlier. We are already heading towards the general elections. In fact, there's every possibility that the elections are not going to be in 2014, but are going to be in 2013. In which case, it is a bit late in the day. That apart, I think there is some confused thinking on the part of the Congress as to what its economic philosophy is, about what inclusion means and the emphasis on the social sector, all of that. So I don't think the cabinet reshuffle, for what it is worth per se, is going to change anything significantly.
Vivek, if indeed Rahul Gandhi were to join the cabinet, which ministry do you see him taking up? Because the reports are suggesting the HRD ministry, which is closer to him and his work profile up until now.
Well, I've also read reports which suggest that a completely new ministry is going to be created for him, called the Ministry of Social Development or something like that. But fundamentally, look, I have no problems with emphasis on social sectors. I have absolutely no problems with emphasis on public expenditure. But what one should really be asking is, most of these social sector areas are the province of state governments. And when one reads reports that a very small percentage of public expenditure is actually leading to tangible improvements in outcomes, that's primarily because of this layer of ministries and government departments. Why do we need a Ministry of Social Development or a Ministry of Rural Development at the center at all? Now, these are questions, rationalizing ministries and so on and so forth, that should have been addressed in 2004 when we began to increase this expenditure on the social sector.
Vivek, I'm guessing then you are pretty much in the camp which believes that it's too late for the Congress to make any kind of an impact with fresh faces being introduced in the cabinet.
Yes, I think they have simply left it too late, and everything seems to be now predicated around the belief, on the basis of speculation, seems to be predicated around the belief that, one, in the last elections, MGNREG has worked, and therefore in this particular election, one needs to have a food security bill. And yes, there are these pro-reform guys which complain about targeting of subsidies and leakages. So for them, Aadhaar and Aadhaar-related databases are going to be the panacea for every problem under the sun. Now, that's not going to happen.
Okay, okay, just a couple of questions more, and I'm sure we'll speak closer to the winter session starting, but it promises to possibly be an interesting one with almost all the parties having an equal and opposite ammo against each other.
That is correct. I am somewhat skeptical about what will transpire in the winter session. And, of course, it is absolutely true that now with skeletons tumbling out of every cupboard, no political party, certainly not the two major political parties, have much to complain about vis-a-vis the other. But going back to the winter session, there's a lot of legislative business to be done. And I am not very hopeful that the winter session is going to be a very productive one.
Can we see any inclusion of a new ally?
Inclusion of new allies. By inclusion of new allies, you really mean the SP and the BSP. But to the best of my understanding, the SP and the BSP have said very clearly that they do not want to be part of the cabinet. And in fact, one reason for the cabinet formation issue is that the DMK does not seem to be very keen to reclaim, so to speak, some of the portfolios that it had to give up.
Vivek, markets have been more and more hopeful of some more reforms, but do you think the window for pushing tough reforms has now closed, or there could be some more announcements?
I think markets react unnecessarily optimistically and also unnecessarily pessimistically. I have not seen anything beyond announcements which suggested that markets should sort of be so very optimistic. Nor do I see any reason for a great deal of despondency now. Having said that, why did markets react favorably? Because markets reacted favorably, and I'm giving one example of that, is, hey, look, there's going to be this National Investment Board which will sort out issues of forest clearances and environmental clearances, and now we realize that the Ministry of Environment does not want it. Now I'm citing this as an instance of how various executive measures, forget the legislative part of it which is subject to the coalition politics in Parliament, but how the executive stuff also gets torpedoed because different ministries and government departments don't seem to agree. So therefore, the simple point I'm making is markets ought to realize that we are going to get that 6% kind of GDP growth rate regardless, but it is too much to hope for pensions being opened up, insurance being opened up, and stuff like that from happening.
Okay, Bibek, we'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for taking the time out and giving us that initial sense. Some events, of course, it will be news-making for sure. Whether or not it has an impact or no remains to be seen. Bibek Debroy believes they have left it a little too late for things to happen.